So, welcome folks, this is Wear and Tear, yet another YouTube outdoor and gear review channel. Today I'm trying a live stream, talk a little bit about knives and stuff, maybe have some interaction with my subscribers. I'm going to talk about the Counterpoint 1 called by Cold Steel. Such a nice little knife. I'm using it since a few months, maybe 9 months or longer. So I've made some experiences with this blade. So let's start some macro footage of the knife. Show you how attractive this blade is. Let's see whether someone logs on. I like that footage from the Philippines. They had dozens of baby sharks in the shallow water between the mangroves. Didn't have my cold steel knife with me at that time. It's too expensive to lose it at an airport. Had something cheaper with me. I don't remember what it was. Probably a Swiss Army knife. They're the least offensive type of knives when you're on travel. Everyone knows a Swiss Army knife and no one's intimidated by it. Cold steel, it's a little bit different issue. Yeah, this was when my cold steel knife was still pretty pristine. And it still looks kind of pristine, although I've used it quite a lot. Also abused it a little bit. Yeah, still comes without scratches. And I know this is that AUS 10A steel. Supposed to be a little bit better than standard 440 steel. And I think that's true. I don't need to sharpen it as often as my AUS 8 knives or my knives with that mystery Chinese 440A C steel. Yeah, anyways, seems continue to talk to myself, which is fine. That's okay. I do that often. Open the fridge and then continue talking to myself. No, it's fine. This is my first live stream. I don't know how that system really works on YouTube. How it works with the suggestions and so on. Anyways, what I like about the Counterpoint 1 is its ergonomics. I know I say that a lot. A knife with excellent ergonomics is the Ontario Red 1. But when you work longer with a knife and when you do harder types of work, you come to appreciate a thick or wider handle, more a round type of handle. And the Counterpoint just fits that bill very well. It's very grippy. I wear large size gloves. That's the Counterpoint 1. I think there's a smaller version of the knife as well, or a larger one, I'm not sure. But this is the standard Counterpoint 1, and it just fits wonderful in my hand. Even the clip is not too much a hot spot, which is rare, but the way they designed that clip, it's not too bad. It doesn't really cause a hot spot. So even if you apply a whole lot of force with the Counterpoint 1, it continues to be comfortable. It's very grippy. Of course, it's more a stabby type of knife because, you know, it's supposed to be somehow tactical like you walk around and have a tactical knife at hand, and then you feel better about yourself. But what it really is, it's excellent work knife. You can get into, you know, small spaces and twist the blade and open stuff up. I'll have some footage coming up. So as such, it is really excellent work knife. It also feels like it can take a lot of lateral force, which is a rare thing in a folder. This is a giant crab, by the way. Saw it in the Philippines. I was like freaking out. There's a crab huge like this. The body alone with the legs is like, wow. Yeah, here in this footage, you see me opening up the zip tie, those zip ties with the Counterpoint one, because water was intruding into the camera housing. And I tried to save the camera, had to open it real fast. And you just do those twisting motions with the Counterpoint one, and it's just absolutely stable. There's like zero problem there. And of course, it has the triad lock, as it is typical for cold steel knives. Now, those triad locks, they make the cold steel knives less desirable as play knives. If you want to have a play knife, there's a CVV Praxis. They're just quick. They open so easily. They close so smoothly. Now, my cold steel knives don't offer the same experience. But those knives are just not play knives. They mean business. The swan was looking crazily at me. They always expect some food. Sometimes they can become really aggressive, and then you're happy if you have a Counterpoint one with you, right? Because swans are really intimidating. No, that was just a bad joke. Like my t-shirt is a bad joke too. Corona. It's everywhere. Yeah. Miss those times when not every second news contribution on YouTube was about the coronavirus, but it obviously is a serious situation. And with my line of work, working with patients in the dementia ward pretty much, I'm sure I will encounter this virus sooner or later. Although we have extreme security now and even vetting on the entrance, so you can't just get in there. They take your temperature and so on. They really check whether you're okay before you can even enter the building. But still, those viruses, they always kind of find a way. So we'll see how serious it gets in Austria. It's already extremely serious in Italy. Anyways, survival situation. You need a knife and a flashlight. Oh, there is a flashlight on my table. Always have one on my table. It's necessary. So, continuing with the Counterpoint one. So, extremely stable lockup. So, triad lock. And it's not the fastest opener. It needs some force and some coordination, but then it opens quickly. Now, my experience is, like, in theory, on paper, when you play with knives, you think you need a knife that that flips on ball bearings. Like, even this cheaper knife is on ball bearings. They're super fast and super reliable. But in reality, when you're a little bit under stress and you cannot focus on playing with your knife and find a little trigger mechanism or whatever, and maybe your fine motorics are not as well developed, because in that situation you're focusing on something else and maybe you're under stress, then the safest way to deploy a blade is with a thumb stud, because you're clumsy in that situation. You're not focusing on the knife, so you're opening it with your thumb, with thumb studs. That's a very safe manner of opening a knife, but it's not a very fast manner. So the Ontario Red one is just perfect. It has thumb studs and is super fast. But the lockup mechanism is just a liner lock. It's of course not as solid as the triad lock that cold steel employs. Another nice knife with thumb studs is the CRKT. What was the name of that? CRKT Casper, Crawford Casper. It's also a mean looking knife, but also a very nice work knife, and also works with thumb studs and is moving on washers. Personally, I prefer knives with washers because they hold up way better when they encounter dirt or moisture. The knives with ball bearings are always a little bit finicky. They tend to, well, dirt gets in there, then the fun is over. They start squeaking and they even jam up. You don't want knives with ball bearings for outdoor or emergency purposes. You want knives that run on washers, like the Counterpoint one. So I like the clip of the Counterpoint one. It's super solid, but it tends to tear up your pants because it has this coarse surface, and then you have the extremely strong clip, and then you put it in your pants. Unless you have very good pants, you tend to tear them up. It's a little bit of a disadvantage if you don't like to go out and buy new pants every few months. Like, I don't enjoy that particularly. So excellent ergonomics, very good steel, and one of the biggest plus aspects of the Counterpoint One. It is super solid, it is super reliable, has extremely good lock, and it weighs almost nothing. Like, it's lighter than an Ontario Red One. It's way lighter than this Sear KT knife. It is pretty much in line with this smaller CVV Praxis. I think it's even lighter than the CVV Praxis. Well, it's pretty much in the same ballpark. So super lightweight, super solid. I really appreciate the knife in this regard. I don't use it as often because in my book this is already a more expensive knife, and I just don't want to. I'm sorry. That was the vitamin C drink against the coronavirus, right? Makes you burp. No, sorry that happens during live video. Guess that's also what makes it funnier. You see people mess up and there is no editing or not a lot of editing. So anyways, my experience with the Counterpoint One, they're very positive. What is the main purpose of this knife? I constantly have ice build up in my fridge. There's obviously a problem in the fridge that I need to solve, but every few weeks ice builds up, and this is like a great ice pick. So you just break the ice inside these cramped spaces. You break it open, and you would expect that over time. I have done that so often with the knife. You would expect that over time the tip would somewhat give in a little bit, get scratched up, or you know. But this is a super stable tip geometry. It really stands up to all kinds of abuse, and the tip is still 100% intact, although I use it like as a chisel against ice very often. And the ice buildup in my fridge, sadly, can be massive. So this was one of the main purposes that I have used this 90-year knife for over the last months. But I plan to take it more often outdoors. I mean, right now. Well, hey, Nasty Renegade. Hi, good to see you. Good to hear from you. How's life under quarantine? Are you guys allowed to go out? Wait for his answer. So, anyways, I want to take this knife out more often into the woods and so, but right now, that's difficult. I mean, you're still allowed to go outside if you're alone, not in a group, and if you don't come too close to people, but still, like the way it was the last few days, it was very beautiful. Basically, you're supposed to stay home, and you saw so many people on walks and little strolls. Yeah, only groups of 5 or less. You're from Denmark, right? Only groups of 5 or less. That's already a substantial group. Is it only with relatives? So here in Austria, you can only go together with your closest relatives that are in the same household with you. So you have those little families go out. If it's a larger family, it's already a pretty sizable group, and then people meet and then they say hello. And especially the old folks, they're as social as they were never before. They walk, they kind of like rule the streets, and yeah. So I'm not sure if people get how serious the situation is, but the police in Linz and Vienna, yeah, keep distance to strangers, absolutely. We're all safe on the internet, right? So the police has really started to enforce those laws. Hundreds or even thousands of tickets in Linz and Vienna, as I have read in newspapers. And so they, just drive up to you and they break up those groups. But some people obviously do not heed their command, and then they get ticketed. I think it can go up to 2,600 euros or more. It's pretty costly for some social interaction. 3 cases of COVID at your workplace? No way. Now that's interesting because we work in the same field. So how did that happen? Was Did people not keep the quarantine laws? Did relatives still intrude into the home? Yeah, that's an absolute nightmare. I hope that you have enough masks and equipment because this is questionable. Let's see. Okay, probably an employee from vacation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't do no vacation in Italy or Austria or anywhere else. Terrible situation right now. That is me in the woods, I think 2 or 3 years ago, trying to play with my tomahawk. I got pretty good at one point in time. So this is not a very social enterprise. I was very safe from viruses at that point in time. Just throwing my tomahawk. It's one of the many hobbies that you can start right now. I like Austrians, but a lot of Danes brought it back from Tyrol. Absolutely. There was this crazy bar. Like people went skiing and then they went to this bar, and this was like a hot spot. And from there it spread over, I don't know, half of Europe. Yeah, skiing is very healthy. If you cut out the social part. So, well, anyways, indeed very unfortunate. Yeah, it is. It is terrible. So, but in these difficult times, we still have our little hobbies that can get us through. Maybe we have more time now for hobbies. Some of us probably gonna be out of a job, which is very, very horrible. So a lot of people's lives get turned upside down right now. In the medical field, we're pretty safe now regarding jobs as long as the states still have money to pay us, of course. But it's kind of interesting if you stand on the front lines and wonder if you get sick during a shift. and we don't have enough masks, or not the right type of masks. So they certainly told us that we have to be very careful with equipment, with this personal protection equipment. That is not good. Yeah. Oh, that is sorry. That is very sad to hear. And that's what people don't realize is it's just the coronavirus. It's just the virus. I'm young and strong. I'm probably going to be okay. And that is true, but the hospitals get clogged up with people who deal who have a hard time with that virus, and then you have something like a damage on the knee or something basic, and you can't get treated, or you don't want to go to a hospital because there you could contract the disease. So no, anyway, so we'll continue to chat with my subscriber afterwards. Now I want to bring this video to a close. Counterpoint 1 from Cold Steel. If you look for a really, really good pocket knife that is extremely solid and light, easy to carry, safe to handle, but not a whole lot of fun to play, well, this is a knife made for serious business, and it's definitely worth the investment, although they ask like 80, 100 euro here in Austria. In the States, I think you could get it for 50 or 60 bucks. So if you ever get the chance to go over to the States or have someone mail it to you, that's probably the way to go. Save a lot of money on it. Air travels are cheap but impossible right now to the States. So this is, well, you need to figure out a way how to get a good price on the Counterpoint 1. Now, this was Wear and Tear. I hope you enjoyed my first little live stream. I hope it was not too boring. It was maybe kind of entertaining. This was Wear and Tear. Over and out. Bye-bye.